Mehul is driving his car when his sight falls on a crowd on the other side of the road. He immediately parks his car and goes there. There has been an accident of a man, and his body is lying in a pool of blood. He was already dead. Mehul interrogates the people there.
Sir, a truck driver hit him and then fled away from the scene.
But Mehul instantly understands that this man was lying. Why does Mehul think the man is lying? Think about it, and let me know your answer in the comments. Pay close attention. The accident scene is located 50 meters away from the main road, and a truck cannot enter there because the road is too narrow. So, how can this accident involves a truck? Mehul immediately catches him.
Tell me the truth, I'll put you behind the bars.
Hearing Mehul's stern voice, the man frightens.
Sir, two people came on a bike and pushed him. He collided with the nearby pole. And that's how he died. After confirming his death, they shook hands and ran away. I was so scared that they might harm me, so I lied.
You must have seen their faces.
No, sir, they had covered their faces.
Mehul thoroughly searches the dead body and finds some money and documents.
His name is Nakul, and he used to work at an electric company.
Meanwhile, an ambulance arrives, and they put the body in it and sends it to Dr. Sanjana's lab. Mehul also heads to Dr. Sanjana's lab. There were 3 routes to reach Dr. Sanjana's lab. The first route goes through a police station, but there's a new inspector there who is conducting a checking. Barricades are placed on the road. The second route is the shortest, but there's a construction work going on there. The third route goes through the jungle, but there's a crazy elephant roaming in the jungle at the moment. Can you guess which route Mehul will choose out of these 3? Let me know your answer in the comments. Mehul won't take the first route because there's a new inspector at the police station, and there's a dead body in the ambulance. If he sees the dead body during the inspection, it will take Mehul a lot of time to explain. Going through the route that passes through the jungle is also dangerous because if he encounters the crazy elephant, it might throw Mehul's car away. Therefore, Mehul will take the second route because even though construction work is going on. Look closely, work is going on the left side of the road. The right route is clear, and people are also going from there. Mehul takes the second shortcut and reaches Dr. Sanjana's lab. To Mehul's surprise, the lab's window was broken, and a man outside the building was shouting loudly.
I don't understand what's going on. I'll have to find out by going inside.
Mehul enters the lab, but there was a logical password on the door. Cricket, tennis, badminton, football. One of these 4 is odd one out. Can you tell me which one of these is the odd one out? Please let me know in the comments. Among these, badminton is different. Badminton is indoor game while the others are outdoor games. Mehul presses the number 3 button and enters the lab. Inside the lab, Sanjana was peacefully working.
Dr. Sanjana, who is that man outside shouting at, and how did the lab window break?
It seems he's a thug and has been bothering me for quite some time.
Hearing this, Mehul gets very angry and goes outside, delivering a strong kick to the man and then calls the police to take him to the jail.
Thank you, Mehul. Alia was right. Iron needs plastic, Mehul sir fantastic.
Sanjana, you don't need to praise me, but please prepare a post-mortem report of Nakul's dead body so that I can catch the murderer as soon as possible.
After a while, Dr. Sanjana prepares Nakul's post-mortem report and tells Mehul.
There are a total of 12 stab marks on his body. But none of the marks are too deep, which means someone must have thrown the knives from a distance that hit him.
Mehul doesn't believe Dr. Sanjana's words and starts to doubt. Can you tell me what Mehul is doubting about Dr. Sanjana's statements? Please let me know in the comments. When Mehul was questioning a man on the roadside, the man was telling him that Nakul was pushed by 2 bikers. But Dr. Sanjana is saying that he was stabbed from a distance. Now, how can this be possible?
Dr. Sanjana, there's a bit of confusion here. Did his death occur from being stabbed or from colliding with the pole?
Judging by the wounds, his death didn't occur from being stabbed with a knife. Because the wounds aren't deep, it means his death occurred from colliding with the pole. The wound on his head is deep.
Interesting, very interesting. It's possible that the person who stabbed him didn't have much strength in his hands, so the knife wound isn't very deep.
Definitely Mehul. If the person who stabbed him did it from close range, then his hand would definitely be paralyzed, so the knife wound isn't very deep.
Mehul arrives at the electricity company to find out the truth, where Nakul used to work. Mehul inquires about Nakul to the manager there, and the manager tells,
I don't know anything about Nakul, sir. He hasn't been coming to work for the past 2 days.
He will never come to work again. Someone has murdered him, and the person who murdered Nakul may have a paralyzed hand.
There are 3 employees, whose hands are slightly paralyzed: Raman, Vikas, and Suresh.
Mehul interrogates these 3 individuals.
Sir, I was climbing hill throughout the day. You can ask my friend if you want.
Sir, I was on a 2-day vacation and I have just returned from playing football in the park.
Sir, Nakul was a very good friend of mine. How could I possibly kill him? And besides, I've been working at the power plant since this morning.
But Mehul realizes that one of them is lying. Can you tell which one of the 3 is lying? Raman is lying because his hand is paralyzed, so how could have he climbed the hill? Mehul catches him, and upon interrogation he says,
Sir, 2 years ago, I got an electric shock because of Nakul, which paralyzed my hand, and to take revenge, I went to kill him. I stabbed him many times, but then another man came there and started attacking me and Nakul. He pushed Nakul so hardly, causing him to collide with a nearby pole and die. Then he ran away, and I also immediately fled from there with my friend on his bike.
Interesting, very interesting. Raman might be telling the truth, or maybe even lying.
Can you tell why Mehul felt this way after hearing Raman's story? Think about it. Let me know your answer by commenting. Let's see the answer to this. According to Dr. Sanjana's medical report, Nakul's knife wounds were normal, and this makes Mehul believe Raman's story. But the man Mehul met at the crime scene told him that 2 people came on a bike and pushed Nakul.
This means the man I met told me a different story, and your story doesn't quite match. You must have seen that man's face.
Yes, sir, I remember that man's face very well.
After that, Mehul takes Raman to a well-known sketch artist and gets the man's face sketched, who pushed Nakul to the pole. After a while, the sketch of that man's face is ready.
Interesting, very interesting. This is the same man who told me about Nakul's death on the street.
After that, Mehul hands over Raman to the police because he attempted to kill Nakul, and the poster with the sketch of that man is put up all over the city. After a while, Mehul receives a call, and the caller tells Mehul that he has just seen that criminal having tea at a tea stall. Mehul arrives at the tea stall. However, 3 people were having tea there, but their faces were not visible, only their backs were visible. But Mehul understands which of the 3 could be the criminal. Can you tell Mehul how he figured out which of the 3 is the criminal? Tell me in the comments. Pay attention, the 3rd man has a blanket wrapped around him, while both the other men around him are wearing t-shirts. This means that the weather is not at all cold, so why would someone wrap themselves in a blanket? From here, Mehul becomes suspicious of him and easily catches him. Mehul removes his blanket and gives him a tight slap.
No matter how much one tries to hide the truth always comes out one day. Now tell me the truth. Why did you murder Nakul?
Sir, 6 months ago, due to Nakul, my friend died in a road accident, so I killed him to take revenge.
The police and court are for whom? One should not take the law into their own hands. The court is there to handle it. Now, sit in jail and grind wheats.
Case solved. Detective Mehul rocks. One day, Mehul's car breaks down. He needs to get to Don Bosco School right away. As a result, he decided to take a ride from someone. 2 boys arrive there.
I have to go to Don Bosco School.
They both say,
Yes, we are going there only.
Mehul checks their identification cards. He checks person A's ID card. He then checks person B's ID card. They are both Don Bosco students. Now, who do you think Mehul should get a lift from? Person A or person B? Let's see the answer. He should get a ride from person A. Look at person B's birth year, 2010. He is 13 years old. This means he is not legally allowed to drive a car. Let's move on to the next riddle. Jason was a pretty good youngster, except for his horrible habit of constantly keeping his hand in his mouth. His mother, Martha, used to chastise him for it. She was fed up with this habit and sought the assistance of Detective Mehul. What do you suppose Mehul proposed to her? It's not that difficult, believe me. Let's have a look at the answer. Detective Mehul proposed that Martha make Jason wear loose underwear. He'll be so busy fixing it that he won't have time to keep his hands in his mouth. Wasn't this hilarious? Let's get to the next one. Josh has worked as a cab driver for 10 years. He frequently gets into arguments with his passengers. One day, he is found dead in his taxi. Detective Mehul is summoned for an investigation.
It appears to be a murder.
Mehul thinks to himself. Josh got into a dispute with 3 people that day. Detective Mehul immediately interrogates 3 people. Aaron says,
I took a cab to college. When I arrived, he requested me to pay him extra money, which I refused, and an argument ensued. Why would I murder him for a few bucks?
Nina says,
I was at work when I got a call. It was a medical emergency. My mother was admitted in the hospital. I needed to get to there as quickly as possible. Josh was driving very slowly. We had a fight because of this. I left after he dropped me off at about 2 p.m. I'm completely clueless.
Brandon explains.
Around 1 p.m., I was returning home from the supermarket after finishing my grocery shopping. I was carrying a lot of bags. He was demanding extra money for all of my belongings. Because of this, we had a disagreement.
Mehul carefully records their statements and quickly arrests the murderer. How? Who do you think killed Josh? Think about your answer and leave it in the comments section. Let's hop on to the answer. Out of all 3 of them, Nina was the last one to travel in Josh's cab. She booked the cab to go to the city hospital. If you noticed, Josh was found dead in his car, right in front of the hospital. This means that she killed Josh. Interesting, wasn't it? Let's move on to the next one. This one will undoubtedly make your mind tickle. A thief broke into a house and robbed it one night. The next day, he broke into 2 houses, robbed everything, and fled. On the 3rd day, he broke into 3 houses and stole all of the cash and valuables. On the 4th day, he went into 4 houses and did the same thing. Detective Mehul decides to get to the bottom of this. He observes the pattern in which the thief carries out the robberies, and attempted to decode it. The first theft. The second theft. This is the 3rd heist. And here's the 4th theft. It is a fact that 5 robberies will occur on the 5th day. But which 5 houses? Mehul looks at the houses carefully, immediately decodes the pattern, and figures out which of these 5 houses will be robbed next. Can you? Is it A, B, or C? Let's hop on to the answer. The next robbery will take place in the houses with pattern C. If you are smart enough to notice, the houses make a number pattern. One number is exactly the shape of Roman number 1. Similarly, 2 Roman number is exactly the shape of number 2, and it's the same for the other 2. Now, the next robbery will take place in houses built in the shape of Roman number 5. Let's hop on to the next riddle.